Warriors fans have been talking about Trayce Jackson-Davis real funny these days, and I've been told he was unplayably horrible against the Thunder in the 5 minutes he was in the game. But was he actually? I'm gonna look at this in the lens of what I assume is a typical fan who's got his hate glasses on while watching a game and why it sounds so silly. Alright, let's do this. Ugh, he lost the jump ball to Chet? Trash! By the way, before I go any further, prayers up for Chet, who suffered a broken hip early in this game. Absolutely awful. Chet sets a ghost screen and pops to the 3-point line. Trayce goes straight into ice mode. Draymond sprints to recover on Chet. Trayce finds the man he needs to rotate to, and OKC's first play is broken up. Great. Curry recovers on Jalen Williams and stays connected to him at the baseline, but with this angle, he needs help, so Trayce makes his way, and at this point, Curry's man has picked up his dribble, so Trayce should recover back on his man. This is the quick decision making an anchor must have. Still, Melton should have been the next man to rotate to Lu Dort, but he watches while guarding nobody instead, and it's a layup. Trayce tries to contest, but it's too late. Trash. All his fault. OKC just scored. Take him out! Melton comes out the DHO with Wiggins, uses Trayce's screen to get to the middle, and dishes off to the rolling Trayce, who finishes over a good contest by Chet. Whoop-de-doo. Here Trayce cuts off the right side to help Wiggins before getting back to Chet. Falls down on the push-off. Not sure how Dort doesn't look for him while Trayce is down. Curry stays connected and Wiggins does well to help. Draymond rotates, Wiggins rotates, and the connectivity is immaculate. And back to square one. OKC Wiggins drives the baseline and spins out for the pull-up. Warriors Wiggins does just enough to force the miss, and Trayce is there to clean off the rebound. What a bum though, falling to the ground like that. Trayce comes down to set a screen, but Curry goes before it actually happens, penetrates to draw multiple defenders, and Draymond is wide open to can the three. SGA barely sets a screen on Melton and gets a very easy switch. Then Melton completely bites on Chet's fake and is behind on the play. Curry rotates to SGA, allowing Trayce to get back on Chet to contest and force the miss. Melton boxes out well to complete the possession. Oh, Trayce got a stop? Whoop-de-doo. Melton comes down in transition before shifting gears and attacking SGA with a drive to his left, but throws it off the top of the glass on the layup attempt? Oh my god. Trayce, you are such a bum! Trayce picks up Chet at the 3-point line, forcing him to give it up to Wiggins, who takes an uncontested 3-point shot and misses. Melton is there again for the rebound. My god, why didn't Trayce grab that rebound though? Trash. Curry sets a screen for Wiggins, allowing his cut to draw Jalen Williams, giving Draymond another free shot from the corner, but it's a miss. God, Trayce is so bad, man. This is kind of fun. Trayce is back on defense and making sure Jalen doesn't have the space to drive through Curry, forcing a reset. Trayce once again picks up Chet and contests well on the 3-point shot attempt, and the shot barely grazes the rim. Chet has done nothing to this point against Trayce, but who cares? Trayce is trash! Curry tries to reward Trayce for the defense and gets it out to him in transition. Trayce sees a trailing Wiggins and makes a great pass, but OKC defenders put just enough pressure to force the miss at the rim. That's on no one but Trayce! Terrible! Back in transition defense, Trayce and Wiggins gets back. It's actually 4-on-5 for OKC, so they don't have an advantage. Dort gets the ball in the corner and decides to take the 3 and misses. This should have been Wiggins' box out because it's his man, but he completely loses sight of him, is boxing out nobody, and the other Wiggins is able to grab the offensive rebound because he has a full head of steam for a more explosive jump, while Trayce is jumping stationary. I do think Trayce, as the anchor and the big man, still has to be able to erase Wiggins' mistake, and he needs to simply go up stronger than this to grab any and all rebounds in general. From a fundamental standpoint, this happened because Wiggins didn't do his job. This is part of the reason why I don't trust him as a rebounder when the team wants to go small. All of that aside, as usual, it's all Trayce's fault. He's trash AF. The other Wiggins ends up getting the rebound and finding Dort in the corner, and this time he does not miss. Blame no one but Trayce. Everything is his fault. A little short pick and roll action between Trayce and Wiggins, but SGA has a 6'11 wingspan and gets a hand on the pass, and ricocheting off of Trayce, Jalen knocks it out. Warriors ball. But oh my god, Trayce can't even catch the ball. Garbage. On a serious note, I like this play and hope to see the Warriors run more actions like this because I've seen the short pick and roll work between Wiggins and Trayce in the past. They just never really run it. Here's that off-ball Curry work that never gets credited or appreciated, as he sets the hard screen against SGA, and even on actions like this, a guy like Dort is just too afraid to lose Curry, so he doesn't switch quickly enough and Wiggins has a wide open dunk. Good patience by Draymond to deliver the perfect pass, and Wiggins needs to look to finish all plays around the rim like this. Pick and roll for SGA and Chet. SGA goes away from the screen and dishes to Dort, who dishes back to SGA, who blows past Melton. Trayce is there to stop the drive. Melton does an affordable job on the closeout. Chet misses the corner 3, and Trayce boxes out SGA for the easy rebound. Didn't notice. Watch Curry relocate on this play with Melton setting a screen, but Melton should be facing Wiggins rather than standing to the side of him like this if he wants to set a real screen. Curry gets just enough daylight to let it fly, but misses. Trayce gets a hand on the offensive rebound attempt, but SGA is there to grab the loose ball. Trash! Wiggins is on SGA here, but the presence of a screen forces him to take the ice stance, forcing Curry to play the anchor role. But SGA is somehow able to squeeze through on the Euro and completing the 3-point play. My God! Why is Trayce still in this game? It's all his fault! The team is giving this up! THO between Trayce and Wiggins, who shoots the open 3 and misses, but Trayce gets a hand on the loose ball and Curry retrieves it for another possession and lasers a pass to Melton in the corner for the 3, but Melton steps out of bounds on the shot. Seriously, the coaching staff needs to find players who step out of bounds on the catch from the corners because it's been happening way too frequently. But oh yeah, all of these failures are on nobody but Trayce. Dort attacks Draymond on the drive. Wiggins is there to cut the baseline, but now the defense must rotate, so Trayce follows Jalen, forcing Curry to split the difference, and this is just too much ground for Curry to cover. When passes are successfully made out of doubles or hard traps, this can sometimes be the result, so there are ups and downs to this style of defense. Wiggins moves well without the ball, Curry sees and does his best to contest, but the corner 3 goes through. It doesn't matter why OKC is scoring, as long as the Warriors are at a deficit, it's just Trayce's fault at the end of the day. Back to serious coverage. Here's a play I continue to generally dislike from Trayce, as he slips this screen and basically traps Curry in the process unnecessarily. If he can't set better screens for Curry, then it's hard to build a better chemistry with him, and that is truly on no one but Trayce to correct. This play only works if Curry can successfully get out of this unnecessary trap, and he's able to find a wide open Wiggins on the wing due to the roll threat of Trayce, and this time Wiggins knocks it down. Melton guards SGA mano a mano, gets totally beat, and Wiggins' help defense here is not ideal. Just don't stand there like a statue, contest a shot! This is another reason why I don't like Wiggins at power forward, because he's just not that strong as a help defender, which is a prerequisite to playing the power forward position. Oh yeah, this is also on you, Trayce. Back to my serious voice. I am sick and tired of these soft-ass garbage screens by Trayce that traps Curry every time. He does this to Potts too, by the way. Get out of there if you're not going to set real screens. His terrible screen once again does nothing for Curry. The roll does nothing since Jalen is there. All Curry has to do here though is to dish off to Wiggins instead of this dangerous cross-court pass that Dort reads like a book and it's a turnover. I semi-blame this on Trayce actually, but it's also just a completely unnecessary pass from Curry. Pick and roll again for SGA and Chet. The Warriors almost always ice these to minimize the damage of having to go over or under screens. Trayce quickly takes a stance. SGA tries to squeeze through with a crossover, but Wiggins stays connected and gets a hand on the ball, forcing a turnover. Great defense. Trayce is out in transition, sees Jalen and decides to go all the way, which is good aggression, but goes up relatively soft and gets stripped by the smaller Jalen at the rim. It's great defense, but Trayce has to act more like a true big, brace for contact, put a body into Jalen so he can't move, and just be more powerful. Trayce doesn't get a whole lot of opportunities to score, which is unfortunate since he's one of the leaders in field goal percent in the NBA, so he can't waste opportunities like this when available. The ball is loose and Chet ultimately gets to it. Poor play, but to be fair, Trayce rarely gets stripped going up against smaller players like this, and Jalen also plays big and often plays power forward for his team, and there's a reason they've been the best defensive team in basketball. Pick and roll for Jalen and Chet. Draymond calls for the switch, but Jalen is able to surprise with a one-legged fadeaway and knocks it down. With that, the Warriors are a -5 in Trayce's minutes instead of -3, and if you can be honest about it, you really can't blame a whole lot of this on Trayce, although he definitely had a couple of plays where he should have been better. This would end up being the last play for Trayce, as Chet got hurt, OKC went small, and neither Trayce nor Loon saw the court again in this game. I made this video to show that while Trayce has his flaws, the fanbase is really blowing it out of proportion about the things he doesn't do. I've been talking about Trayce's lack of aggression on screens since the preseason of his rookie year. I've also noticed that there's a lack of force in his movements this season, especially as a starter, which is a stark contrast from what I saw in his rookie year. These are issues he must address before he permanently loses the starting opportunity. I am patient with this situation because players do improve as the season goes and they get into a comfort zone. And we've seen his potential in the starting lineup last season, and I don't want to toss that out the window so quickly, especially with the team being 8-2 at the end of the day. Still, criticism of his play as a starter is warranted, but I just think the film shows a lot of fans are grossly over-exaggerating and overreacting in terms of trashing him without enough of a cause. Did it really look like he was just terrible out there the whole time? Of course not. Did he actually miss any rebounds outside of the one blunder by Wiggins? No. Yet, I hear people talking about how he can never rebound and he's constantly screwing up on all the plays. But I just showed you every single possession he was involved in the 5 minutes that he did play. We have to stop making up stuff to fit a narrative. It's almost like they want him to be bad. Everybody made some errors to start, but all the focus for whatever reason is all on Trayce, which is pretty unfair. Was this not a great start? Yes. Was it not that bad given they are on the road against the best team in the West going into this game? Yes. You have to realize when talking about Trayce, his problems are correctable and not some fundamental failure to understand what needs to be done on the floor. Again, the team is 8-2, which means there are no emergencies nor any need to panic. Another important point, Steph Curry didn't take a single shot during this stretch. Steph comes out slow and he takes it easy to start games, and that's a part of the problem, and it distorts the full potential of what this lineup could look like. It's important to discuss issues and try to find solutions for different potential problems, but we can't destroy the morale of players like Trayce and Pods who are going through some major things in their second years in the early going, with Trayce being inserted into the starting lineup with championship aspirations and Pods dealing with a mask due to a broken nose. These are really positive players worth being patient with, especially Trayce, who's going to be in rotation in the playoffs, whether it's as a starter or as a bench player. And it's important for them to have an opportunity to improve as the season progresses. Trust me, if I feel like the experiment is over in terms of Trayce in the starting lineup, I will absolutely say so. Let's see what else is in store, as Kerr promised this will be the starting lineup for the foreseeable future. Sorry for the sarcasm in this video, but I hope you got a chuckle out of it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.